So I'm going to make a brief video here showing the gearing outline path of BWL and slightly into AQ. So you start off with, hopefully if you're lucky, the ideal sword set coming out of MC. And as you can see, you sim about 135. So for a sword rogue, you do want to get full 8 of 8, but tier 2 isn't very good. Like, a lot of the pieces are actually bad, so your goal is to get the 8 set, or it's just not good. Like, you can take these first, 4 pieces here, and some people might think, oh, you're 6 of 8, that's great, but no, it's actually garbage, because you just lost, like 5 DPS or whatever. So you're 6 of 8, but you lost 5 DPS out of just having what you had before. So the real damage comes from these 2 pieces right here, which are nice solid upgrades. You start at 134, and now you're 21 points higher. But this doesn't show, the simulator doesn't show the Bloodfang proc, but what it is probably about 20 to 25 DPS more here on top, on average, somewhere around there. So that's the one path that you would take ideally if you're a sword rogue. Now let's go back to what we had started with. I mean, if you're not lucky, of course, you're not gonna. I mean, it's unlikely that all of us are gonna get 8 of 8. So this is the alternate path that you will take if you're not that lucky. So say you're towards the end, you're either a dagger rogue or a low prior sword rogue. What you're gonna get is you're gonna get the Shadow Flame boots. Actually, let's just start the sim. Let's go back to Night Slayer. So we're back where we started, 135. You get Shadow Flame. It's a decent upgrade there. And we've been pretty decent with bracers, so maybe we get bracers, another pair of bracers. You're at a pretty good percentage here. If you're lucky, maybe you get this. So you're creeping up to where 8 of 8 is. Which is almost the same of 8 of 8. It's probably a little less, maybe 5 DPS less, maybe it's about 180 if you get 8 of 8. But that's the path you take if you're not at the front of 8 of 8, because you need 2, 3 less pieces to get that path. And even if you don't get the Bloodfang belt, that's not much of a loss. Doesn't really do much. So basically, all what you need is the Shadow Flame boots. This has been dropping decently, not to jinx us, but hopefully that drops, and maybe get this, and you're almost the same as 8 of 8, while requiring 4 less pieces. So that's just a way of optimizing gear. I'm gonna go back. We're gonna go to 8 of 8 here. And I'm just gonna briefly go over the damage levels of so this is where I'm at right now. So you remember, this is like 20 more, so maybe about 175 to 180, somewhere in there is where I was sim. Dieseler would be, doesn't have that, doesn't have this. He's right here, which, like I said, I'm probably around 175, maybe 180. But he recently got a dagger, which he should offhand. So he gets a little bit out of that. So yeah, he's probably about 10 to 14 behind me. on the simulator. Now we're going to see what beans is at. Actually, he's probably running bracers of the clip. Eclipse, or he should be. Age core, Night Slayer, core hound. Purge, so believe this is what Bean Slayer had going into. Change his talents to daggers. Change the rotation to combat. Alright, let's see where he's at. He's right here. He was right here going into a BWL, but he did get these boots. For daggers, they're pretty strong. See, he jumps up quite a bit, so he sims about maybe about 13 to 14 DPS higher than me, and then I'm probably about maybe about 10 to 12. I'm probably about the same distance ahead of Diesler right now. For range and a newbie, I don't even want to look. You guys are, I don't know. I don't even know your gear, but I'll guess to see where range is at least. I'm not going to look it up, but just going off what I think you have. Oh my gosh, how do you not have Bloodfang pants? So you're probably here. Change the talents back to swords. Rotation back to swords. So I think this is where range is. He doesn't have a Curia. Well, I don't know if you have this yet, but you will before shortly, I would think. And you're going to be around 139. So you're about 45 to 50 behind me. A newbie, I don't even know where PvP gear is, exactly what you have, but I'm pretty sure it's less than that. And let's just see how badly you lose for being undead. It's about 35 DPS just for not being 37 DPS for not being an orc. Alright, we're going to go on and kind of see how exactly we go from BWL into AQ. So say you were kind of a low tier, unlucky rogue, sword rogue, or a dagger rogue, and you didn't get 8 out of 8, you didn't get much of anything. The 8 of 8 rogues are going to stay with 8 of 8, and you're going to be getting Death Dealer for a few pieces until like this is repeatable. So like maybe 2 or 3 boots, whatever it takes, so that there's like a boot slot for like a sword rogue, because there's no reason to break up 8 of 8 for like 1 piece or 2 piece. So like I'm gonna fill in the gaps of like for rogues who didn't get 8 of 8 or didn't get the Shadow Flame boots, or maybe even good bracers, because there's a couple of good bracer opportunities. Just kind of fill it in like this. Maybe after we get a couple of drops, then maybe if the shore rogues will start getting in, but pretty much you're going to get filled in from Death Dealer to make up for the pieces you didn't get that aren't Bloodfang. Or even if you both have Bloodfang in that slot, you'll get the death dealers first, just to avoid breaking up 8 set for a while. So that'll put you up pretty good. All right, I'm gonna go back to. I want to look at one more thing. I'm gonna go back to Blood Fang set. So say you are full Blood Fang. To Curia. So you're about. Just remember, this is like 20 to 25 more because it doesn't really show the proc. So say you start here and you got go into AQ, get all the best gear. Upgrades would probably be, I'll just do this for sword work first. Say, I don't know, say you even got that, that'd be pretty lucky, but say you got everything. These are about the same. Death Dealer strong. Death Dealer. So, okay, so you got like every drop. That puts you about 122. But now let's compare it to if you were a dagger rogue, which I think is a comparison that you need to see. Equipment. Talents. Dagger talents. Rotation. Combat daggers. So if you had the same gear, except you were daggers, actually this would be H core. So you had pretty much the same gear, best, but you're daggers instead of swords. You know, you're 30, 33 DPS higher. So, you know, looks pretty similar. But what if, you know, you get this curio, which is a semi-crafted item. It's a quest reward. Suddenly, you're like 50 DPS ahead. But what if you get Death Sting and you're off doing this curio, right? Like this. Now you're, holy crap. Now you're almost 100 DPS ahead. You're like 90. Like 90 DPS ahead of a sword rogue, which is just huge. Wow. Alright, let's just see if you... So the point I'm trying to make is, if you don't get CTS and like Maladath, even if you did get that, oh wait, rotation, talents. So even if you got CTS and Maladath, you're still, what was it, 50 or 60 DPS behind the possibility if you had the better daggers. So coming out of AQ into Nax, if you don't have these two swords, or, you know, that sword, which I think is a little better, it looks, maybe it's just slower, so it's better. So if you don't have a combination of CTS or AQR, the Ripper, and Maladeath, you're going to be really far behind someone who has daggers, even if they don't have Death Stinger. Let's look at that again. Say they just have this and Core Hound, and then Age Core. They're still right there, about the same. But they hit the Death Stinger, then they just go high. Oh, I had the Purio here before. That's what it was. Yeah, they just go really high. So you should really be thinking about what is the top end of your spec, and realize if you don't get both the good swords, you should probably go daggers, because it's just so much of a gap. Actually, when you get this Death Stinger, you don't need this anymore. You get more DPS. Or you could just be a warrior. So just check. You could be a warrior. Let me see this. Let's check out rogues again. Let's go back to the starting rogue. Starting rogue with Bloodfang. Oh, I'm tired. So you have talents, rotation. Yeah, so we're back at our 175 because that's like 20 higher because it doesn't show the proc. Or you could just be like a warrior. Let's see. Let's just take our average bad geared warrior. I remember Kevlar. He has Doom. Wind Fury. He got Doom's Edge. Okay, I guess I can just look up the rest of his gear. Nah. But why bother? He's a warrior. He's still gonna have more damage than you, even with no gear. Yeah, warrior no gear. Still sims higher. Actually, this axe, let's see how good it is for a warrior. They get 10 DPS out of that axe. This over Deathbringer, so I think it's pretty fair to think that rogues should have decent prio on that. Anyways, that's all, folks.